That's still my painting over there, the hand wringer, and it's still about the war in the Ukraine. It's still about me, and I still live in Tacoma. I still have an attitude barrier when it comes to constructive embrace of American dialogue about their dynamic zeitgeist when it comes to foreign affairs. But I'm going to make a comment about the Ukraine because I feel very badly about the situation. You won't find me very engaging if you're looking for fodder to pleasure yourself about the way I was used as Louis Lapham's dummy in a card game stacked with trumps up the sleeve from Ronald Reagan. As you know, I believe it was Louis Lapham's duty, he proved a coward, to defend the child of a humanist, Pittsburgh public schools, and authentic history. Instead, he went for what he called priceless forgeries with the Schulman ethic. I don't have anything further to say about it. It was cowardly, and Pusillanimous Lou will forever be known as Pussy Lou. I do know that the Ukraine was largely a consumer society. True, they cheated Russia with a revolution against a man who was elected, who had pro Russian sensibilities. Russia wanted a wholesale relationship, and they won in elections the right to a wholesale relationship. They were relegated to something of a retail relationship in a consumer society that was not really attacking them. However, I also know what came at them through the Ukraine when Nazis got into the Ukraine in the 1940s, which is in within living memory of Vladimir Putin, who nearly lost his mom. Now, I find the tragedies that come at me daily from the Ukraine to be reason enough to be pretty short in my concern in standing with Pope Francis in the United Nations. It really should stop. I don't believe that we know the truth about Russia's political philosophy. I don't jump to conclusions. I've seen how it can be translated into a philosophy of war. And it upsets me that I have detected from a number of different European directions a weird philosophy of war. I also know that Pope Francis has stated that human lives are not expendable, that each person is called upon to look after, to the best of their power, themselves, and to be helpful with others. That is our duty. That is our philosophy, as it should be understood in the human quest for human rights and human dignity. On that level, I'm sincerely offended by the way Russia has been treated as a persecuted minority. Now, they've attacked innocent people, and that has to be judged very harshly. But I also know that what happened to the Ukraine, to them through the Ukraine in World War II, is treated dismissively by the same, often museum thieving, New York Latter-day Women's columnists like Louis Laffin when it comes to Israelis getting hysterical with anything that reminds them of the Holocaust and going after innocent people to stamp it out. the High Command of the United States says nothing. One wrong does not make another wrong correct. But in the name of elemental consistency, it would be much wiser to note that there's a similarity between the two impasses. They were, after all, fighting the same barbarism. And the fear is equally justified on both sides. And the backlash from the two sides bears the same hallmark of injustice. This is my opinion. Don't make it out to be anything else. The Ukraine seems to me to have been conjured as a war zone forcing house to export into the United States a weird European philosophy of war, to justify past actions from the fourth dimensional Ouspensky cult, who I used to call Swami Nosha. I wrote a good deal about what they've been doing. They're not what you would call respectable intellectual circuits. I realized that Noam Chomsky was a very brave individual when it came to Vietnam. He's also grinded an axe about the Kennedys when they were not around to speak for themselves. The hypocrisy I'm seeing of an alliance between the left and the right, often enough in the name of this ghoulish Swami Nosha they call John Lennon, which is serving nothing but the poaching of high command to a super loyalty of unity in the EU, European Union, a new right-wing establishment guarding against our Commonwealth on behalf of rich doofuses who don't seem to care very much that they're even punishing everyone by bombing the planet with fossil fuel fumes toxicity. Native American culture said something I wouldn't dare, but I really have to endorse it. I'm not attributing it to everyone in the Native American culture. I don't remember which tribe it came from, but they said maybe we should stop even allowing power to people who believe in the rapture, who believe that the end is nigh and the world is nothing. This is what I've heard from Lou Carl, neighbor of Sherelle, and gets attributed to Carell. Behind the scenes, the fundamentalists, the angry fathers, Robert Bork, Ronald Reagan. He had a man named James Watt who said, in terrorizing the national parks, the Secretary of the Interior, we don't even know when Christ is going to come back. I saw a man from the Society of Military Engineers deliberately break open a canister of fluorocarbons, known to be harming the ozone. In the 80s or 70s or so, Russia said something very intriguing. He said America is having trouble managing our own hawks. Is Russia having the same problem nowadays? Seems to me reasonable if we're trying to save the planet. There's something about the idea of bypassing the humane need to understand normal life processes and ecological survival on a living planet that comes from some sort of contempt for life, buried deep in the theosophical ideas of people who think too much. It doesn't make sense to violate the future of our children. What's the sense of having children? We're going to violate their future. I can understand. I have been slapped in self-defense and even protection of me by black children when I was a child, trying to make peace, to warn me, be careful when you outstretch your hand. So I won't say that Russia should be happy that I read about them and enjoy reading them, that I'm interested in their arts, history, philosophy, and their people, and their welfare, and that I take their safety very seriously. And I won't push it. I don't want to be dragged into this. I have nothing against the people of the Ukraine, and I want to see it stopped.